Hello, 3D animation class. It's week 10. Today, we are going to be looking at some motion graphics, motion design principles of 3D. And we'll do that by examining some movie studio logo intros. So these are the kinds of things that when you go to see a movie or watch a movie at home, uh, those logos that appear before the movie starts, and they're very often done in 3D and have they're pretty short but have some sort of dramatic reveal. And then we'll look at that. We'll kind of practice one together, and then we'll talk about your assignment, which is to do just that, to create your own sort of animation in the style of a movie studio graphic. So first, I found this video. I've linked it, but this is a series of movie studio graphics that you've maybe seen, 20th Century Fox. Obviously, this is done in 3D, a very iconic thing. Some of these aren't quite 3D, like Castle Rock's not one, but like this one has some 3D in it. I don't even remember what this one is presently. CJ, the old Disney, there's also the new Disney in here. If you've watched any new Disney stuff, let's see, Columbia. Oh yeah, here's the new Disney. This one is like obviously very heavy 3D. They got a train going over a bridge. They've got this little town, and obviously the big iconic Disney Castle is definitely done in 3D. There's a couple other good ones that I can show you in here. Fox Searchlight is another famous one. Let's see, I don't actually know what this one is. GK Film, done in 3D. Oh, here, I think of this one a lot when I think about movie studio graphics. This one is obviously like lots of detail, but a very iconic style here. Going through the keyhole, Lionsgate, nice. Clouds, classic. Let's maybe look at one. Oh yeah, there's one other one that's Marvel is pretty iconic. Where's the Pixar one? I think it's after this. Speaking of Disney, this is a pretty iconic one as well. And like simple, you know? Like it's animated. Well, also it's simple because they made this in the early 90s, and this probably took like a lot of effort to make something like this. But it's, it's just got text and a little guy that bounces around on it, but it's in a 3D space. It's got the light coming off of it. So your task is to create something like this. So today we're going to talk about animating text and some other sort of animation things you can do in the realm of motion design. So we're like moving away from characters. Well, actually, we had already moved away from characters. We were doing like physics simulations and stuff like that. I'd already forgotten. But let's look at your assignment. So assignment 4 is to make your title graphic. The prompt is create a short animation in the style of a movie studio logo intro like this. And I linked the video we just watched. You can try to recreate an existing animation or come up with an original idea. So if you want to try to make the Pixar one on your own, that's fine too. This is worth 15 points. 4 points for using text materials and lighting. 6 points for at least 3 animated elements. So it can be like your camera and the text and like a light that like moves around or something like that. And then 3 points for including submitting a rendered video, and then 2 points for an on-time submission for a total of 15. So let's just get right in. And let's look at our cube. Let's look at text first. Why don't I move myself up here? That's probably a little better spot to make myself a little smaller. Am I usually that small? I don't know. This feels right. Okay, let's talk about text. I'm going to delete my cube and my light and my camera. Nice clean workspace. Shift A. Let's add text. So text is actually, it's pretty easy. It might help to do an orthographic view when you're working with text. Key and stroke. Let's go. Okay, so to edit text, you just have to actually go into edit mode. So tab to get into edit mode, and then you can just type right on here. So you can create like a fictional movie studio name, or just I'm just going to do my name for demonstration purposes. Um, we of course can change the fonts here, and so this is able to search the fonts that you have installed on your computer. So object data properties, the green one down here. Let's see, we can change. Let's see, where is oh here font the so there's options here for like regular, bold, italic, but you should pretty much always do this regular one here. So we have to open a font that's on your computer. It's a little bit of a bummer that you can't just like search right in here. We have to actually open it up. So it goes to your fonts. It should hopefully go to your fonts folder on your computer. If you can't preview it, it might just be like a list like this. Just make sure you hit this one here, display files as thumbnail. So this will give you a preview of what the font actually looks like. So find something ridiculous or fitting for your project. Or one quick tip on fonts. If A good place for free fonts is fonts.google.com. And there's quite a few free fonts of varying styles. And you can search, so you can type something in and it'll preview it for you. And you can say, okay, well, I want only fonts that are, you can filter. You can say like heavy. Actually, no, maybe that's not how it works. It's been a while since I've done this. Font properties, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Like something that's wide, has like a certain width. Like it'll only show you the fat ones or only the really skinny ones like this. And then you can download the font files there. So fonts.google.com is a great place for free fonts. License-free fonts, because if you're just like searching for free fonts on the internet, I think a lot of times hackers and people not looking out for your best interest hide malware in free fonts. So that's your warning for the day. So I just want to find something like kind of bold, but not too silly. What do I got here? So as a motion designer, I always spend way too much time. Let's do this Berlin Sans FB open font. And so I've got this set as my regular. If you want a bolder font, just open it here in the regular rather than trying to like change the like style here. It's easier just to reload it. So I'm actually going to make this all capital like this, Nolan. There we go. You also have paragraph controls. So if I do down here paragraph, we can like align center if you've got like multiple lines or something like that. But that's going to be just fine for me. So I'm going to close font and paragraph. The other thing to look at here is the geometry options. So obviously we can, I'm hitting tab to go back into object mode, so I'm not editing it any longer. But by default, it's flat, and these are just actually curves here. They don't have any like the mesh. Well, I'm right. It doesn't have a mesh. It's just like the outlines of the text. So you can extrude here like this and give it a little bit of depth, and maybe this is all you do. You can like put a material on here. Make it glass or something like that. And go to material preview, and it's like glassy render preview. Actually, no, the glass is not a great example. Just go back to principled, and we can make this. And when I don't have any lights in here either, you can make it pink or something like that. Anyway, but for my animation here, I want this. I should put a light in here, otherwise it's gonna drive me crazy. Light, area light. GZ like this. Make this, 100, 150. What am I doing? Here we go. And make the size larger and GZ move it up like this. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so what I want, and pink is going to throw me out because it's gonna make me think that a material is missing. We're going to do kind of like a teal blue like this, aquamarine. Okay, I'm getting off track. What I am wanting to do is animate each letter individually. So right now I can only move it as a whole, but I'll want to separate these letters out. So actually, what I also want to show you real quick with the text properties. I didn't quite show you everything. So we've got extrude, which I showed you. Offset kind of grows and shrinks the text a little bit, but it's very janky and messy. As you can see, it goes south very quickly. Um, so I don't recommend using the offset. If you want something to be thicker, you should probably just find a thicker font. You can also bevel. You can add just like a little bevel, but again, like depending on the font, it might not work very well. I can tell that like this L has some troubles here because this bottom thing starts shooting out in both directions. So again, maybe not the best thing. Maybe pick a better font. I'm just going to leave it as is. Okay, so in order to have these, split these apart, I need to convert this to a mesh. So right now it's still just a text object. So I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to Convert, and I'm going to convert this to a mesh. So you can see up here at top right, it's changed from like the text symbol to this upside down triangle, which means it's a mesh. And if I go tab into edit mode, you can see all of the polygons it's created. Now, yes, this is a nightmare here. Look at all of these edges all coming together into one point. So, and also look here. This is where the problem was. Look at how messy this mesh is right here. So this is, this means that whoever designed this font just like wasn't very careful kind of closing their edges like this. So, user beware with fonts, with non-traditional fonts. If you're going with a pretty well-used font, you can bet that they've designed it really nicely. And, this is going to happen. All of these edges being grouped together. Just because it's an imperfect process to convert something that is made of curves to a mesh that is like flat polygons. So working with text, you just have to have a little grace. All right, so we've converted this to a mesh, but it's still just one object, so we want to separate the chunk. So I'm going to hit A to select everything, select all, and we're going to go to mesh, the mesh menu up here. So I'm still in edit mode. I'm going to mesh, and we want to separate, not split. But we want to separate by loose parts. So it says separated selected geometry into new mesh by loose parts. Okay. So now we have, oh, actually, you know what? Aha. Okay, so I figured out what happened here. So it's each of these loose parts was because my mesh wasn't connected. So like if I undo this a little bit, if I go back, undo my separate by loose parts, you can see that if I grab like this face here and I G move this out, my edge isn't connected here. And that's because I did the extrude on the text object before I did the convert to mesh. So it's probably a better practice. And like maybe this, you only need to do this if you're really wanting to separate your letters and animate them separately. But I'll just show you. So I'm going to see if I can undo all the way back. Okay. So it is a text layer here before I convert it to mesh. So let me go back to my object data properties, and I'm going to set the extrude to 0. And I'm going to convert this to a mesh first. So I'm going to go, so my extrude is 0. I'm going to go object, convert to mesh. Okay. So now these are flat surfaces like this. So now the better practice is probably to extrude here. So if I go tab to get into edit mode, A to select all, E to extrude, and then I can extrude it like this. And now all of these edges will be connected, or all of the different parts will be connected. So if I hit A again, and actually, well, let me just put my teal green texture on here first before I split it. So I've got everything selected with the A. Now I can go mesh, split, no, not split, separate by loose parts. Okay, and so now we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objects, one for each letter. Okay, so this is, I'll call this one, oops, let me go back into object mode. This one I'll call like N2. This one I'll call it A. This one will be L. This one, oops, what's this one? O. And this one will be N1. And then what we can even do is like make a new collection maybe and just call these like letters and put N O L A N in here like this. Maybe rearrange so that it's, can I rearrange? Yeah. It's doing it alphabetically. Okay. Now, so we've got our different thingamabobs. So then it's as simple as like, let's animate this. So like, maybe I'm going to put a camera here. Shift A, add a camera. And I'm going to do Control Alt 0 to be like this. And actually, let's move up my camera back like this. So which direction? Oh, Z. So I want to move this back here like that. And is my light doing anything good? Let's like G move this and point this down like that. And I'm just doing like a quick little thing here. Let's make this a rectangle and make the size X wider like that and up the power to 500. 200. There we go. Okay, so, and let me just look at the angle of this. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so like very quickly, how I might animate this is like, I go to like frame 60 here. I'd select all of these. And I could go like insert keyframe, location, rotation like this. And I could go back to frame 0, frame 1, and maybe just like GZ, move them up like this so that they're behind the camera. And then I could go insert location, rotation again. They'd all come in like this. Well, yeah, they all appear in the light. Maybe I should move my light a little bit too. So my light is like, let me get my side view going. So that the light's shining on them a little bit. Okay. And then maybe once they're at frame 0, frame 1 here, let me select all these. Oh, I don't want my camera to be in there. Maybe I, one at a time, also change the rotation. So like, whoops, aha. So no, I'm noticing one thing. Because these were initially all one mesh, they all share the same anchor point. So as I rotate, you can see the anchor point is this little orange dot here. As I rotate the N, it's rotating around the anchor point because they'll have the same one. So what I probably should do is I can hold down the Shift key and click all of these. And we'll set the origin points to the center of each of their letters. So I can go to Object, Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. So this will move each object's origin to the center of its stuff. Origin to Geometry. So now we can see that each of these has their own little origin point near the center. Okay, so I'm going to go to we're on frame 1. Aha! But now they all moved out of place. So this is actually, I should have done this before I started animating. So I'm going to undo all of these things. I'm going to undo the set origin. I'm going to go back to frame 60. I'm going to delete my keyframes. And now I'm going to set, so now like nothing's moving, nothing's happening. I'm going to set the origin now. Set origin, origin to geometry. Okay, great. Now we can keyframe it at frame 60, location, rotation. Go back to frame 1. And G, Z, move these all up here. And maybe I turn on Auto King just for simplicity's sake, so that I don't have to hit I every time. Okay, so now let's rotate these a little bit. So I'm going to do, with N, I'm going to just kind of rotate it this way a little bit. With O, I'm going to rotate it this way like that. L, I'm going to rotate it that way. A, maybe where we just spin it like this. And N, maybe this one is kind of sideways like that. Maybe I'll also kind of spread these apart a little bit. So like this end can go here, just spread them apart so they're not kind of hitting each other in the air on the way down. All right, let's see what this looks like. So I'm going to hit 0 on my number pad and just kind of watch these come in. Ta-da, there's Nolan. And then what we also maybe can do is kind of spread these apart a little bit so they come in one at a time. So I'm going to open this up on my timeline down here. Make my timeline a little bigger. Open up the summary, twirl this down so I can see the different objects. So like object transform, like A, maybe I can move this one forward a little bit. The L, maybe I can move this one. Just kind of separate them a little bit. We can keep the maybe the first N and the last N, and then maybe the O comes in back here like this. Let's see what this does. Yeah. That's not bad. The other thing maybe I can do is just add like a little plane back here. If I can do a mesh, a plane, scale that up. Oops. Trying to make sure this is lined up the right way here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. You know, maybe make this, you know, I could do something crazy like have this be shiny. Okay, let's do that. Let's do turn up the metallic and turn down the roughness like this. Oh, but you know what? This like to get it to be like fancy, to actually show the reflections, we'd have to switch to cycles, which you can do if you want. GPU compute, and so then you can kind of see that like now as they're coming in, that's like reflecting on here. Let me go back to the material for my plane here. There's still a little bit of roughness. You could have it be like a mirror like that if you wanted. Or not. You don't have to do the metallic. You could do just another, you could just do like the boring white Netflix background. No, I guess the Netflix background isn't like that anymore. Netflix has rebranded a little bit. I'll go back to the Eevee engine just for simplicity. It did create keyframes for my background, and that's fine. I can just delete those. Okay. So I'm feeling okay about this. Just got some excitement happening. Now let's talk about like adding more besides text. So one other thing I'll show you is a built-in Blender add-on that's called AnimAll, like ANIMALL, not animal, but like short for animate all. So in my scene here, real quick, before I do that, I'm going to add a new cube. Scale this down. And I'm getting my axes thrown off, GY like this. And let's say I wanted to have, and I'll just make this red. You guys, I just love to have terrible color schemes in my demonstrations, just to show you how creative I am. So, let's say I wanted to make this like SX like kind of grow like this. Actually, you know what? So here's the concept. And I'm gonna undo, turn off auto keying, delete this keyframe. So what I want this to do, so the letters are gonna come in like this, and then I want this box to kind of start off screen. I want it to slide in. Whoops. GX, like end right here, but then I want this to like grow across and be like a big old underline. So you can sort of fake this by like changing the scale like this, and then also moving it in this direction. But there's a way that you can actually animate individual like vertices and faces on a mesh, which might come in handy in something like this. So let me just reset the transform here. So let me just go make this my scale. Wow. Oh gosh. Just gonna undo a bunch like that. Okay. So AnimAll. Go to your edit preferences. Go to your add-ons and search ANIMALL. and enable this. Hit the checkbox. So this says allows animation of mesh lattice, curve, and surface data. Okay. So let's go. Let's first animate this coming in. So I want this to kind of maybe close my laptop here. GX, move this off camera here. Add a key. I'm going to turn on auto keying. So GX, just kind of add a little keyframe there. Great. And so I want this to kind of slide in by right about here, frame 75. So I'm going to go GX, move this right here. Okay, so far it's doing this. And then at this point, I want it to grow this side of the cube to grow down like an underline. So hit the N key. Actually, I should move this over here maybe. And we now have a animate tab here in your tools menus, whatever, over here. So go to animate, and then you should now have AnimAll. And if we go into edit mode and maybe go 3 for face select and just hit this face, we can now, let's see, key vertex group. Or I guess you can even do like faces on face material indices. No, let's do vertex group. And we can insert a key now. So with vertex group selected, with this face selected in edit mode, we can insert key. And then, oh, sorry, not vertex group. We want location. And we want to turn on key selected only. So we're keying the location of the points and only keying the ones we have selected. So even though, like, if you do face select, it's going to select all the points around that face. So right here, I'm on frame like 75. I'm going to insert key. And you can see now here in my timeline, I have these vertex. You can twirl this open. Cube 001 has these vertex locations keyed. Vertex 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I can move forward in time, go to 110 or something like this, and I can go GX and slide this across to where I want it to be. So let me get my orthographic view. And GX, just move it a little bit more like that. And then insert another key. So even if you have auto keying on, if you're doing this AnimAll, the auto keying doesn't work, and you can only create keyframes here in this menu. Insert a keyframe, and you can see that now we've got more there. So if you preview this while you're still in edit mode, it's not going to show it, so you just have to switch back to object mode. And now, yes, if you play it, all right, and there's my movie studio graphic. It's called Nolan, and it's really original. And you know, if I were to tweak this a little bit, maybe I'd have this start moving a little bit before it kind of gets there. And so it is the vertexes that you animate on an object are relative to like the object or the anchor point. So you can still, like, I can move this up here and key that and move it around a little bit, like kind of get silly with it, and it's still going to have that same, the vertexes are still going to animate in the same direction with the object, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to just undo a few of those. There we go. Cool. So yeah, this was like a very, very simple example. But I wanted to show you the AnimAll. I wanted to show you about like animating text. You can get a little bit more wild with it. So I would say one of the main things that you see in these types of movie studio logo animations is there's like a reveal that you don't see it right away. Something moves in front of the camera, or the camera moves back to reveal the like logo or the text or whatever. So I would like to see some sort of reveal. And you don't have to animate in the ways that I did at all if you don't want to. Maybe you have like the camera starts in really close to the letters, and you can't really tell what it is. And the camera's kind of moving around, and the camera kind of moves back, or like something moves out of the way, and you can see it. Or like maybe you're animating the lights, the properties of the light. So like maybe it's really dark to begin with. So like yeah, change your world color to black, please. I don't want to see gray, the gray background. Um, what was I saying? And oh yeah, and so like maybe like you have a spotlight instead of an area or a point light, and the spotlight kind of turns to reveal it, or like the intensity of the light slowly brightens to reveal something. So you've got to have three animated elements. One thing that a student did last year with this is they did sort of like a mystery science theater intro where it was like there was a bunch of doors that would so that the camera was moving forward and and doors were opening and the camera would go through it, and then another door would open and the camera would go through that, and then after the third door then the text and the stuff was there. So it's really not it's not that complicated of an animation. You can make it more complicated if you'd like. Maybe you do want to have a character, a lamp, bouncing on top of your letters and having the letters squish, boing, 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 like Pixar, do something like that. Or not. You can just have things animate things in simple ways. It's less about like how crazy your animations are and more about like how effective your reveal is. I remember doing some research for this assignment last year and finding one like movie studio graphic that it was like a first person thing, and it's like, okay, someone climbs over a fence and then they go around a building and it's like in a jungle, and then they come to a door and there's a sign on the door and there's like a lightning bolt, and then they open the door and inside the door it's like it seems like it's too much. Like honestly, these types of animations are like maybe 5 seconds. So yeah, just experiment. You can do some text animation or not. You can play with the AnimAll if you'd like to animate your mesh. Obviously, another way to animate your mesh is to put an armature on it if you want to go that route, or you can just do the simple transform properties and things like that. So I know it maybe feels like we're kind of crunching because we kind of pushed a couple of assignments back a little bit, but again, like your goal for these is to practice. Your goal for your assignments is to practice. You can start thinking about your final assignment. Maybe think about something that you want to spend a little bit more time on, and something is featured in your reel or in your portfolio. So start thinking about that, and that can be something that you spend a lot more time on. But the goal with like the face animation, hopefully you've finished that. And what was the? Oh yeah, and your inanimate object. It's just like practicing adding keyframes, practicing like seeing what works, what doesn't work. Same with this, like it's just a different way to think about animating in 3D. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. Please let me know if you have any questions. But otherwise, that's it for today. About 33 minutes. So good luck, and we'll talk soon.